Hello, nerds of the world. How are you doing today? Welcome to another episode of the Nerd Diary. And today I have a very special guest who has extensive experience in product management and project management. She is working on different products for a very long time, and I am sure she'll have lots of nerdy things for us to talk about. So, let me welcome Vijaya Annapurna to the show. Vijaya, a very warm welcome to the Night Diary. Thank you so much for accepting the invite.
Thank you so much, Daksh, and it's an honor to be in your podcast.
Yeah, so I introduced people about you like you are working in project and product management for a very long time, I guess approximately 20, 25 odd years, and you have lots of things to talk about. Is there anything you'd like to add before we start Q&A?
Um, Daksh, like you rightly said, been working on various aspects of software development from the project and now into product management, and also worked in multiple domains. Everything preferably in a connected space. We when we first met, we were connecting people with mobiles. Then I went on to working on connected car space. Now I work in the lighting industry. That's again in connected space again.
So
What?
connecting people to connecting cars to getting them lights. Good one.
Yes, yes, that's where I'm right now. What I fundamentally believe is that there is lots of power in collective intelligence. Okay, and with the AI coming into picture, that's going to take even lot more. It's becoming a lot more prominent. I believe that we all as humans need not have to compete because AI is competing against us. So let's collaborate and leverage on this collective intelligence and then stay relevant at any point of time, because the unique ability that we as humans possess is common sense, and let's strengthen it, build on top of it, and let AI remain the place which it's supposed to meant to be. Thank you, Daksh.
Amazing, amazing. This is one of the topic which touches everyone. AI. I'm sure we are going to talk about that also.
Yeah,
So, are you ready for Q&A?
of course I am.
Vijaya, you have worked in this for more than 25, 40 years. Now, product management, if you think about, it's a kind of different job what it was earlier. Okay. Would you like to share some highlights on the evolution of the product management in last 2 decades or so, how it has evolved, where it is now, and where it may go in the future?
Yeah. Okay. Let's break them into multiple small topics for us to understand, right? Now, if you ask me, the first one is the our complexity was different before. Although we started our conversations with the connected world, right? At that point of time, we are less connected in the way the definition of connected in the technical world, right? And although our challenges are equally significant, but our connected problems were less, and product managers were spending considerable amount of time understanding the technical constraints, the limitations they have with the platforms they were developed, envisioned and developed, and the dependencies on the hardwares and the different environments they're working with. And at that point of time, the complexity is less in terms of the user base as well, because the number of people, the users they were using were much more limited, maybe in lakhs, not in millions or billions per se. Okay, so the focus was very well defined, and the complexity that we are trying to solve was simpler. Although it's complex, but it is simplified complexity. Whereas now it's kind of increased in length and breadth. Okay, that's one thing. Now, the second thing was in terms of tools and processes. What kind of tools were we really using there? We were using documents, emails, and then customer visits. And we don't really have so many integrated tools like Confluences or Jiras of the world as on today. We're primarily interacting with our customers, capture it, and then see, use the data, use it, capture that insights, use an Excel to create your own hypothesis and trying to figure out things. So the tools were a lot more simpler then. Okay. And third thing was, we our focus was primarily localized, in the sense, if I'm trying to solve a problem that is very, very centric to very, very centric to a specific market or geography or a specific customer segment, we were not trying to solve a problem which is scalable across geographies to demographics, etc., etc. Okay, and the amount of statutory requirements that we were addressing was also limited, because the involvement of government regulations have also started to scale up a later point of time, right? So the purview was was limited. And the next one is about the user experience. At that point of time, the customer is the king, right? I mean, remember, if you go to any shop, you would say customer is the king, because if it worked for a user or for the customers, we they adapted it, they were fine with it. But then what happened? Now customers are saying, no, I want personalization. I want it to be unique. My requirements and my problem statements are unique and different. So it kind of brought in lots of need for us to think differently. Okay, so which means it also gave a reasons for our user experience, right? I mean, if you look at Figma, for example, on the tools that we effectively use for understanding the user experience. So until then, we were not experiencing it for ourselves. So the focus has shifted, saying that, okay, no, I really don't have to wait until my customer can tell me, hey, this is what my user problems are. I'm actually trying to get fit into the eye as a product manager, trying to fit to the problem, how the user is going to experience, and try to solve the problem that my customer is facing with lots of empathy. Okay, so the rise for UX is also increased. Now, one of the last items in this category in terms of evaluation is about the sustainability. Okay, now sustainability is a big thing for us right now. It's not only about creating, okay, now something is not working, let me go and then, develop everything. No, that was the case back then, because we were not really very cognitive of the usage of the limitations that the nature poses on us, and things were not taken for granted. Now we seriously believe in how much of a given thing can be reused. Okay, can we pick up something that is already existing and build on top of it, which means we're talking about accessing the shared platforms. Okay, and how about I use Google APIs that are already there and develop try to integrate with myself and leverage on the existing things. So these are the kind of shifts that have come up in the product management space, starting with the simplifying a complexity part of it, adhering to the government regulations, solving global problems, not only just the local problems, and the rise of empathy and integrating that using the user experience, and also sustainability part of it, right? And even United Nations has introduced the sustainability goals, right? And every company and every organization contributing a part of their strategy and integrating that with SDGs, because it's very, very important. We have limited resources, whether we like it or not, and how carefully we use them and give it back to the society is also one of the key things that evolved over a period of time in the product management space in general, but across everywhere in the every other aspect of the software development life cycle. Daksh.
Thank you, Vijay. And one thing I really like what you said about, the earlier things were complicated, but, solutions were simple. So, and today it's like, solution space has expanded so much that many of the product management people don't even, they have difficulty in understanding who are their target audience. It's like, maybe you can put more light on it. I have seen people, kind of building the product first, then trying to see shop on the audience. Uh, is this trend is kind of predominant thing as of today? What's your take on this?
Okay, so with the agile in place for more than a decade or so, Daksh, what's happening is we wanted to understand what really works for the customers. Okay, because we're building for the customers. Now, even you have a great idea, great vision, it may not be relevant in the given space because of the technology limitations or the adaptability of of the same thing by your customers, or there is no need at all for it at this point of time. Okay, so what's happening is that product managers are really making sure that before they develop a product in a large scale, they're making sure that it's getting validated, right? We have this ideated. You have an idea, you have an idea ideated, you experiment with it in terms of MVPs, and then see, target it to given customers, and then see how the adaptability is. Are there any insights coming from them to change or adapt or decrease the features or increase them or fine tune few things, and then go back into the feedback loop. And this has become very very prominent, and that's one thing agile is also supporting this, right? We are, although we are trying to unlike our waterfall model earlier, what they're doing is that they wanted to learn whether this is something the customer sees a value in it. Are they willing to pay for it? Because no matter how good a vision is, unless there is somebody who's not do not see a value in it, they're not going to buy for it, right? And it's all, end of the day, it all boils to the investment and time. So let's be more diligent in trying to solve a problem rather than trying to experiment it. But then that doesn't mean that we should stop experimenting, and because we shouldn't stop innovation. But let's try, the intention now is, how do we bring both the innovation, the futuristic part of it, at the same time trying to solve the problems of the customer, because that's very very important, right? Because if you, I mean, we were having the conversation earlier, right? The entrepreneurial mindset, even because how much of is really going to be successful? The failure rate is 90 to 97%, right? That we just spoke about it. So which means there are people who are willing to take a risk onto it and figure it out, but at the same time they need to make sure that there is a value that you'll give to the customer, so that you can experiment and learn from it. And then, end of the day, I should be happy about what I'm doing, but my happiness is also derived about somebody using a product I developed, and it is actually helping them to make them either feel happy about it or help them to increase even their revenue even by $1. That's a big leap, right? So these days everything is experimentation, understanding, learning, insights, feedback. So this is one of the very key aspects, and then that's how the product management mindset is, Daksh.
Okay, great. Since you talked about agile here, some people are of the opinion that with AI, we are seeing a comeback of waterfall model. Reason I'm telling you, like, uh, AI work on the context that's being built, and people are saying that now you have, 500,000 token, 1 million token available. You make
Mhm.
sure you are building the context. So isn't it similar to the waterfall way of working, where I write all the documentation first even before my AI tries to build something for me? So what's your take on this? And if this is true, how does the experimentation things will go on?
See, this kind of reminded me a quote from Marshall Goldsmith, right? He said, "What got you here won't get you there." When we started with the waterfall model, our process and tools were different. Then came agile. Then we had to adapt. You have scrums, and then PI plannings, and then road mapping. Everything that's become part of it, right? So we're adapting at every point of time. Hmm? Agile manifest always said your individuals and interactions over process and tools, and we wanted a working software or a comprehensive documentation.
Right.
And we are also saying that responding to change or following a plan, right? And this was important because these principles kind of helped organizations to adapt to a UCA world where vulnerability and uncertainty are huge. But right now, if you ask me, the world has no longer remained UCA. It's very, very predictable. And that's why we are saying that AI has come into picture. Okay. Now, the question here is, when we talk about AI coming to picture, if we wanted to leverage the effectiveness of the AI thrives on the information that you're providing to it.
Right.
Okay. AI to be successful, there should be intentional planning and preparation, which means you should be very, very clear about the objectives that you want to achieve and what your goals are. Goals must be, right? So your why and what must be explicit, right? And how is something your AI is going to help you with, because that's what something we want to delegate it to AI. Now, but the question is, how will you tell your why and what? Which means you should have a clear direction in terms of, okay, this is what my input is going to be. I want to achieve these things. So this requires good amount of planning before, good amount of documentation is play, because this is the food for your AI. These are the
Agree.
inputs for your AI. And AI is not doesn't come free.
Mhm.
It's a massive investment. Okay? It's giving you options, but we need to understand nothing is free and the basis of economics, right? So for you to AI to work, you need a huge amount of investments with so much going around in terms of increasing the productivity, efficiency, and reducing the cost. The organizations will still be diligent in making sure that for me to improve these metrics, this is the amount of investment that I need to make, and this is the amount of background work that I need to keep it ready.
Right.
So there is a fundamental shift. So what we until then we were dependent on the human intelligence, saying that yes, if I give a problem, they will prepare themselves and they adapt to everything. But then the one wrong prompt, you will get into a different direction altogether with the AI outcome.
Right.
This requires very thorough planning, which means you need to have a right process in place. You need to have right documentation in place. Okay. You need to have right objectives well defined. It shouldn't so happen that you built a AI model and you expect it to adapt to it immediately, which means that there is some amount of thought process that should go into this if it has to adapt to something else. Even if you ask right questions or a better questions, you need some kind of preparation, right?
Right. Agreed.
So,
Totally.
right. So it's not simply, we will not say that it's completely bringing waterfall back into system and removing the agile together. No, it's going to be a mix and match of everything together, because the AI as a system is also learning. So we need to see what is the right way to feed the data or insights to the system, and what is that we need to do.
Right. So I will take your point, like which you said in the beginning, like instead of going into those conversation, you have to see like the quote you mentioned, what gets you here will not get you there, right? So that's a great take on this. Like you have to understand what are things that are there currently and how we need to make sure that we make best out of it. Again, as you said, nothing is free, right? So if AI works in this way, it works in this way. That's the truth. And how you adapt to work in that way, uh, you can come up with new set of processes, practices, but you'll have to go in that direction. I think that's a great take. uh Vijay, I want to ask you, yeah, sorry.
I'll just interrupt because I was curious to know what might be the new manifesto with the way AI getting integrated into our day-to-day lives. Okay, because we are very familiar with the Agile manifesto, right? Then I went and searched something on what might be the manifesto if not when, not if now that AI is getting integrated into our lives. And maybe I would like to share that with you because it kind of caught my attention. Okay.
Sure,
What
sure.
it said, so what it said was the manifesto sounds something like this: AI over automation, but judgment over AI. Okay.
Yeah.
Speed is through machines and the wisdom is through humans.
Okay.
Prompting is important, but common sense is indispensable.
Okay, sounds great.
I mean, I was like, I wanted to know because we were looking about having a machine which is trying to think like a human. I just want to know what kind of a manifestation it will throw up. If I wanted to know what might be the agile man equivalent of agile manifestation, this is something that has come up. So I thought I will check with you. I'm sure our audience might have, are already familiar with it, but in the relevance of our context, I thought
No,
I'll speak.
I wasn't aware of this, and it really at least sounds nice. Okay, and sounds logical also. That's important. Okay,
Okay,
so
thank you.
Vijay, going to a different question about which nobody has a clear answer till today. Everybody is having different kind of answers to this. Uh, I want to ask you, what's the difference between a project mindset and a product mindset?
Hmm. Okay. Project basically tells you that I have a defined scope, cost, and resources available with me, and I should be able to successfully deliver a project. Okay. Whereas when we talk about about a product mindset, right, we're trying to solve a customer problem and trying to create a value for them. That's much more of a long term compared to a project mindset, wherein it's short lived. The moment I know I delivered a feature, the project scope is kind of done. But in terms of product mindset, it kind of evolving. It's not never stopping. It gets into that feedback loop that we discussed earlier, right? It's always evolving. Okay, what are my customers thinking? What kind of problems do they have, and how can I help them? That is not one time. It's going to evolve into a roadmaps for a product manager, what kind of problems or how innovatively they're trying to solve them, what kind of reusability options they're going to bring in. So this is going to be much more longer term, whereas a project is very very limited scope. The other difference is you successfully delivered a feature within a given budget, time, and constraints. Okay, but it's not necessary that it actually solved the problem of your customer. The project itself might have been failed already because of some assumptions that were made as part of the product definition. Okay, where a product definition stops is when a project will scope will pick up,
Okay.
because one, it talks about the ideas and assumptions and the values, the success stories. The other one, which is a project, will help you to realize it. With lots of people coming in, lots of processes getting added, lots of validations and verifications happening. So that's when the project is all about. For an organization to be successful, you need to have both of them should be existing, both the project and product mindset. And as a PM, it's very very important. One must understand the end to end flow. Just because I'm very good with defining a strategy and vision, You cannot really miss out on the nitty gritties on how it can be achieved. You may not get into the day to day activities part of it, but you should be able be aware of if things are getting prioritized in the project setting, right people are there, right decisions have been made, right prioritization has been done. They are giving right kind of feedback at right time. So these things should be are very very critical to make a product successful. Daksh.
Yeah. So, um, if I'm reading you right, Vijay, you are saying that uh, the criteria of success of project and product is different. Project is successful when it is completed as per the specifications, rules, regulation, test cases, and everything. Product is successful when it generates the value,
Correct.
right? And that's where, even though project is successful, I successfully completed something.
Yep.
uh, the product value is that when it's solving the problem and people are actually getting the value out of it, right?
Yep.
That's a great point. I know I was looking for some simpler definition, right, like this, where what is the when people say what is the project mindset and product mindset, I'm sure people you know have the clarity now. Okay. Now on this point, I want to ask you one question. Like, you talked about a new manifesto where speed is from AI and wisdom is from human, if I'm recalling it correctly. So uh, you know human speed is limited, right? We are not superhumans. So if I need to see, like, there is a question that is being raised whether we can trust the codes generated by the AI, because it generates with immense speed. It's not possible to go ahead and look into everything that is being generated by it. So basically, if I'm coming back to your manifesto, what it is saying that either build the wisdom within, or all the wisdom thing related things has to be completed before even AI generates the thing, because speed is amazing. Humans can't compete with that. So I mean, how this will go, because we can't match the speed of AI.
Okay. Whenever you give a prompt, Daksh, what does AI says?
I mean, it says that it's a good idea.
Right. But it also says it comes with a disclaimer that says AI generated content or code may not always be accurate.
Right. That
Right.
I know. So that they say
Right.
save themselves, right?
Right. And I think that's exactly where the greatest advantage for all of us. So we are still, because common sense is our superpower. Okay.
Right.
Like I said in the beginning, it's our responsibility to strengthen it and preserve it and apply it wisely without this transformation. Because I was at a conference last week on the coaching with AI, how the landscape is evolving. And one of the speakers said, AI is like a genie, and it all depends upon who's holding it. Okay.
Okay. Good
We should be
metaphor.
responsible. Yeah. So we should be responsible in doing it, right? I mean, whether it's a AI generated code or a recommendation or decision, and it's up to us, whether we want to use it or not. I totally agree with you. I mean, the intention, one of the very intentions of using AI is that it's going to generate things with blink of an eye, a blink of an eye, and we know that. But the quality of the output depends on the prompts that you're asking, the context here we're setting, and the objectives that we are defining. Right now, when I say we is equal to still humans. So we're
Right.
still saying that whether did I ask the right question, did I write the right, did I make the right prompt, or am I challenging the output, or I'm just taking as it is. We need to understand that we are giving the power to AI on how it should work. Although it's giving the speed, I'm still the one who's holding the steering. I will decide at speed it should drive, where I want to stop, how I want to stop. Okay. Now, the intention of, although AI is giving you things to do at a faster pace, we're not we know that it's a fast world, but not everybody is running at a is participating in a F1 car formula race here. The need and necessity of each of the products that we are trying to build are different. If we think that we are not able to adapt to it, then fine tune it, make it work for us, and that's very very important. Okay. And as long as we can keep it, if humans are not able to match up to the speed, then the question is, you're creating an output that you're not able to manage, which means you're not in the absolute control of the um, tool that you developed. And that's the reason why we are also talking about lots of guidelines coming into picture. We're insisting that the process that we are defining are also have a necessary human interventions at every given point of time. Now, all these guardrails are important, Daksh. Okay. um i I agree that not all humans can have the same amount of processing ability, or trying to adapt to things that are happening around. But my point is very clear, that any technology that is not supporting or benefiting humanity is something that needs to be revisited.
Right. I will take one very important point from whatever you just said, that not everyone is trying to run a F1 race, right? So, as a product person, I believe what you are saying is that you need to understand which race you are appearing in, what is the race you want to win. People who are at the end of the day, there are some people who are using those products, they are not happy with learning new things every alternative day. They are happy with your product, and you are just asking them to now, like mobile phones also, like look and feel changes. I'm not sure if I'm too much happy about it, because I'm used to something, right? And if it is changes because of some specific reason, that's fine. It changes once in 6 months and year, it's fine. But if every day a new UI element comes in, and the triggered UI element which I am actually using is gone somewhere else, then it
Hmm.
frustrates me as an end user. So everyone has to understand what race they are trying to be in. And one of the future guest, I was talking to one of the person who is going to appear in some, I think, in a couple of weeks. He was saying one thing which resonated with me, and I think uh, that should resonate with all the product person, is that he said, when you have the ability of doing so many things, it's ever more important to know what you need to build, right? It's even more important to understand who are your audience, what is the right thing to build. As you said, nothing is free. So look, today with AI I can do 10 things, fine, but those 10 things will cost money. So should I burn all my tokens or budget in building something which is, or experiment, since I can experiment, so I keep on experimenting for life, or you know be a product person. And again, my question here is that what it takes to be a product person of today, like whether you are in product management, or building a product, whether you are an entrepreneur, you have some idea, the things which we talked about, since the things become so easy, what it takes to be a by a product person of the day, where you can take rational and meaningful decisions.
So we're talking basically about the mindset that we ability, right? I mean, in decision making, right? So mm, first and foremost thing is, we need acceptability, and is one thing. Okay. Now, but again, I was at the conference last week, right? I mean, the reason I'm referring back to that's because for me, it's important that how the mindset is getting evolved, right? For us in the name of AI. One side, it's become part and parcel of our life at every given moment of time. Another thing is there is also a thought process. Okay, what if AI, what do you call, replaces me, right?
Hmm.
One is psychological, other one is in terms of the in terms of practical part of it, right? So then somebody made just a very simple statement. You know what they said? They said, collaborating with AI is like a marriage. Okay, you have to make it work. I mean, it sounded because most of the audience there could able to relate to it, and then it was humorous. We kind of felt it was humorous, and the more I reflected on it, right, and it become more. I thought it was more profound over a period of time. See, like majority of the partnerships that we talk about, there are two things in my view we should focus about are acceptance and adaptability. Okay, we need to accept that AI is going to stay with us here. It's going to be part and parcel of our life. The magnitude of it is going to change from use case to use case, but like the way when we introduced mobiles, for example, nobody thought that our life cannot survive without mobile today, right? Every single workflow that we come across as so well integrated with mobiles that without mobile there's nothing. I mean, as if like your world is going to stop, right?
Yeah,
We
that's
will
there.
have, then we will have to wait and see how this agile transformation is going to be. So let's accept that AI is going to stay with us, although it's not a replacement for human, but it's going to help us the way we work, the way we learn, the way we create, and then we make decisions. Okay. The second is about the adaptability to it because it's learning faster than a human. Because what worked yesterday is not going to work today, which means our prompts are changing. We are also learning what to unlearn and relearn, and we are teaching this to a machine, right? So we both are adapting. We are trying to understand each other. We are trying to communicate better. That's what something that you do with your in a relationship. And then and then we're also trying to see how to have an improved communication and then complement each other, right? And the same thing is applicable for AI. Okay.
Okay.
Now, right, and AI will help you to bring the like we discussed earlier, speed, scale, and agility and intelligence. But the uniqueness, something that we can still as humans are going to retain are the setting the context, empathy, emotion is not still part of the AI. I don't know how it's going to be in the future. um, Decision making power, it's still with us. Ethics about what is right and wrong, and the most important thing about common sense. Okay,
Agreed.
so nobody is going to. I mean, like say, it's not like AI is going to outperform a human, or human is going to outperform AI. Like the way you said, humans are not still adaptable to it. This is going to only work if there is some kind of balance and guardrails. Okay. All these things are in place.
Mhm.
Okay. So the key here is that we need to adapt rather than resisting. And
Mhm.
then we also need to accept it, yet it's going to be there. Like I said, we as humans need not compete with each other. We need to collaborate. We should also now learn to collaborate with machines. Okay, you will have to trust it, but then you also need to verify whether it's the right thing to do or not.
Right. So On this part, which there are some posts on LinkedIn which I have seen of late.
Mm.
Some people are, I'll say it's a kind of bragging that their CPO, Chief Product Officer, or their product office will be taken over by AI agents. Okay, it creates a kind of anxiety to the people. I really wanted to understand your take on this. Right? First, if product office can be replaced by all the AI agents, and overall these things which generate lots of anxiety to the people.
So, like I said before, in the previous question, right? I mean, there is that anxiety that is already there. What if a machine is going to replace a human? Okay. So, I also asked this question to myself. Okay, we are implementing all the possible use cases and replacing them with a let's say world. Okay, and you achieved metrics on your productivity, efficiency, and cost reduction, etc., etc. Your speed of execution also improved, and you time to market has reduced, and you build a product, and there is no, because it's impacting the, let's say if it is impacting the job market, who are going to build your, who are going to buy your products? There
Right,
is, this is going to impact and bring imbalance in the economy. Nothing is free, right? I mean,
right.
we
Nothing
we are
is
doing this, we are looking huge in this. This is again my perspective, right? Just first fundamental thought: any technology that we implement should benefit the humanity. When
agreed.
I say, when we talk about humanity benefiting the humanity, you shouldn't really, I mean, one is, if there are going to be job losses, okay, where will people get money to pay for the products that are being well built? End of the day, no matter which product you say, there is a human at the receiving end of the product. The entire life cycle value chain you talk about, it starts and ends with a human. Okay,
Absolutely.
you're replacing everything in between, but at the same time, if something is taking away the purchasing power of a human, whom are you going to sell this product for? First thing. And second thing is, when we talk about the huge investments part of it, right? So every company, when they talk about the AI investments, they also need to know the return on investment, right? And it's going to take a cycle. Even if you're trying to replace the entire workforce and saying that, hey, we are going to do this,
Hmm.
but then what is the return on investment on it,
Right.
right? We talks about tokens, we're talking about this billions of investments going in here, but what is the end value are we going to realize, right? So companies are also taking a very careful approach in deciding which workflows to be automated, AI integrated, versus which still requires human intervention. If
Right.
something goes wrong, there should be still humans that need that are needed to fix a problem,
Hmm.
because our systems are not self-healing,
Obviously not.
right? They're not self-healing. A human intervention is still needed. So when I'm sure that there are lots of ambiguity in terms of how the entire landscape is going to evolve. There's a lots of anxiety as well, and there are questions sometimes. Okay, now you're trying to make AI adaptability as part of your systems, but there will be resistance also, right? Okay, now you're asking me to do work on something that's going to replace me tomorrow.
Right.
So it's up to the organizations to set what you call set the right kind of expectations there to see that where to bring in the balance. So if you ask me, is that anxiety there? Yes, it's there for all of us. But how it's going to evolve, how do we make sure that the superpower of humans common sense is still given the right kind of value, and it will continue to exist for the for as the, even when the with getting integrated into AI, because like I said, it's it's going to be there, it's inevitable. But how to make these two things work is something that requires maybe lots of theses or research papers that I do not know. We will have to wait and watch. But for me right now, if you ask me, the mindset I'm carrying is adapt, learn, and then move, and then prepare yourself, and then see make best use of the AI, and bring in that value to the very person sitting at the end of the value chain. That's a human again.
Absolutely agree, Vijay. And I think you made a very good point. Like, adjust, adapt, learn, and try to move on, right? Because it is going to be there inevitably. I think you made a very amazing and great points on this. Take it, learn it, adapt it, and move it away. And also about the value chain, like, because as you rightly said, each and every product goes to, at the end of the day, the consumer is human, right? No matter what kind of product you build, the end consumer is human. And if the human is not able to consume that, what is that you are building? And the way you talked about between project mindset and product mindset, I'm thinking AI is more, towards project mindset, like, get the billions somehow, right? And build those data centers. That's a project mindset. And you are saying that there will be value, but people may not be actually aware of. So, before we end this session, some closing points from you on this.
Thanks for giving this opportunity, Daksh, because as a product manager, I'm also learning, accepting, and adapting to AI and how it's going to change the trajectory and of the entire landscape of delivering the customer centricity, right? Because that's one of the core values that we as a product managers thrive in. And I'm also eagerly waiting to see how the entire landscape is going to evolve, and then what kind of changes, transformation changes the AI era is going to bring in. Looking forward to learn from it. Like I said, make the relationship work, and
Right.
then end of the day, make sure the end of the value chain, the one that at the end of the value chain still remains the human.
Right. And I think, most of the people are waiting for this, and they are also willing to see how this end of value chain, human and human decision making, will come into picture. Vijay, thanks a lot for sharing your wisdom. And I'm sure, some of the great points you made, I'll remember your manifesto, project mindset, product mindset, and especially when you talked about, how to adapt with AI. And I'm sure it will resonate with most of the people. And thank you so much again, and looking forward to having you again sometime in the future on some different topic.
Sure, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for the opportunity, and best wishes to all the nerds who are going to watch this.
Thank you.